Everyone saw him as just the janitor, mop in hand, quietly cleaning the halls of a prestigious music academy. But when he sat at the grand piano after hours, something magical happened. One night, a teacher caught him and threw him out in shame, not knowing he was composing a symphony that would leave the world speechless. This is a powerful story of hidden talent, prejudice, and the moment a silent genius finally gets heard. In the heart of Vienna, where the ghosts of Mozart and Beethoven still lingered in the cobblestone streets, the prestigious Akademie für Musik stood as a beacon of artistic excellence. Its marble halls echoed with the strains of violins, the resonance of grand pianos, and the dreams of prodigies from across the globe. But not everyone who walked its corridors was there to perform, at least not officially. Samuel Okoye was the janitor, a tall, broad-shouldered man with skin the color of midnight. He moved through the academy with quiet purpose, his mop and broom as familiar to the students as their sheet music. Born in Nigeria, he'd come to Austria a decade ago, chasing a life of stability after years of hardship. By day, he scrubbed floors and emptied trash bins. By night, in the dim light of his cramped apartment, he poured his soul into a secret passion, composing a symphony. Samuel had no formal training. He'd taught himself music theory from tattered library books, his fingers tracing invisible keys on a tabletop since he couldn't afford a piano. His ear, however, was uncanny, sharp enough to catch every note drifting from the academy's practice rooms. Over years, he'd scribbled melodies on scraps of paper, weaving them into a work he called the Unseen Chorus, a symphony that blended the rhythms of his homeland with the grandeur of European classical tradition. It was bold, raw, and breathtakingly original. But to the world, he was just the janitor. That all changed one crisp autumn afternoon in October 2024. The trouble began in room 17, a rehearsal space dominated by Professor Heinrich Voss, a wiry, silver-haired man whose reputation as a composer was matched only by his arrogance. Voss had a knack for spotting talent, and an even greater knack for dismissing anyone he deemed unworthy. That day, he was berating a trembling violinist when Samuel pushed his cleaning cart through the door. "Out!" Voss snapped, barely glancing at him. "This is no place for you." Samuel paused, his hand tightening on the mop handle. "I'm just doing my job, sir." "Your job," Voss sneered, "is to stay invisible. You're a distraction. Leave." The room fell silent. The students exchanged uneasy glances, but no one spoke. Samuel's jaw clenched, his dark eyes burning with something unspoken. He'd endured snubs before, whispers about his accent, his skin, his place in this ivory tower. But this was different. This was public, deliberate. Humiliation coiled in his chest like a snake. He turned and left, the cart rattling behind him. But as the door clicked shut, he made a decision. He was done hiding. That night, Samuel sat at his rickety desk. The symphony spread before him in a chaos of notes and revisions. The insult had lit a fire. He wouldn't just finish the unseen chorus. He'd make sure it was heard. Not by Voss, not by the academy, but by the world. He didn't have connections or credentials, but he had something better: determination. Over the next few weeks, Samuel worked in secret. He borrowed a cheap keyboard from a pawn shop, recording fragments of his composition on an old phone. He couldn't play every instrument himself, but he hummed the parts. Violins soaring, drums pounding, a choir lifting the melody to the heavens. It was rough, unpolished, but alive. When he had enough, he uploaded the file anonymously to a music-sharing platform popular among Vienna's underground artists. He titled it simply, unseen. The first listens trickled in, 5, then 10, then 50. Comments appeared. Who is this? This is insane. Sounds like nothing I've ever heard. Samuel watched the numbers climb, his heart racing. By the end of the month, Unseen had thousands of plays. Blogs picked it up. Local musicians shared it. Whispers spread through Vienna's cafes and concert halls. A mystery composer had emerged, and their work was extraordinary. Back at the academy, the buzz reached the students first. During breaks, they huddled over phones, earbuds in, marveling at Unseen. It's revolutionary, a cellist said. Like Stravinsky meets Fela Kuti. The faculty took notice too. Everyone except Voss, who dismissed it as amateur noise without a second listen. But the intrigue grew. Who was behind it? The anonymity only fueled the mystery. Samuel kept his head down, mopping floors and dodging questions. He overheard the chatter, felt the shift in the air, but said nothing. The humiliation from room 17 still stung, and he wasn't ready to step into the light. Not yet. He wanted the music to speak first. Then came the turning point. One evening, a young pianist named Clara Meyer stumbled across Samuel in the basement storage room. She'd been searching for a lost metronome when she saw him hunched over a notebook, scribbling furiously. The page was covered in musical notation, complex, intricate, familiar. Clara froze. She'd studied Unseen obsessively, transcribing its melodies by ear. The patterns matched. "Are you?" she whispered. Samuel looked up, startled. For a moment he considered lying, but something in Clara's wide, earnest eyes stopped him. "Yeah," he said quietly. "It's me." Clara didn't hesitate. "You're a genius. This could change everything." She begged him to go public, but Samuel shook his head. "They won't accept it. Not from me." "They will," she insisted. "I'll make them." Clara became his ally, his voice. She rallied a group of students, outsiders like her, tired of the academy's elitism, and they hatched a plan. They'd perform the Unseen chorus live, in secret, outside the academy's walls. No faculty approval, no Voss, just the music, raw and unfiltered. They chose an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the Danube, its cracked walls a far cry from the academy's gilded halls. Word spread through back channels, ex-posts, encrypted messages, flyers slipped under doors. On the night of the performance, December 20th, 2024, a crowd gathered, students, locals, even a few curious critics drawn by the hype. Samuel watched from the shadows, his heart pounding. The makeshift ensemble, Clara at the keyboard, a drummer from a punk band, a violinist who'd nearly flunked out, brought Unseen to life. The music roared through the space, fierce and tender, a cry against invisibility. The audience was spellbound. Phones lit up, recording, sharing. By morning, videos flooded the internet. The mystery composer wasn't a mystery anymore. Rumors pointed to the janitor. The academy couldn't ignore it. Voss, furious at the defiance, demanded an investigation. "A janitor?" he scoffed at a faculty meeting. "Preposterous! This is a stunt." But the evidence piled up. Clara's testimony, the notebook, the recordings. Students rallied, flooding the dean's office with demands that Samuel be recognized. The press descended, headlines screaming, "Hidden genius shakes Vienna's music scene." On New Year's Eve, the academy caved. They invited Samuel to present the Unseen chorus in the main concert hall. A formal debut. Voss boycotted it, but the seats were packed anyway. Samuel stood on stage, no longer in a janitor's uniform, but a simple black suit, his hands trembling as the orchestra he'd never dared dream of played his work. The final note hung in the air, and the room erupted. Tears streaked his face as he took a bow. Afterward, offers poured in. Recordings, commissions, scholarships. Samuel accepted some, but not all. He wanted control, not charity. The world knew his name now, but he knew the fight wasn't over. Prejudice didn't vanish with applause. Months later, in March 2025, Samuel sat in a small Viennese cafe, sipping coffee and sketching a new piece. The unseen chorus had won awards, but he wasn't done. Across the room, a TV played a news segment. Voss, grudgingly admitting Samuel's talent, had resigned, a small victory. Outside, a group of tourists argued loudly. One sneered at a street vendor's accent, another laughed. Samuel's pencil paused. Racism didn't need a stage. It thrived in the everyday. He thought of Clara, now a friend, and the students who'd believed in him. He thought of the warehouse, the cheers, the chance he'd seized. The unseen chorus was heard. But what about the next voice? Would it rise or be buried under the same old biases? Samuel smiled faintly and kept writing. His story wasn't finished, and neither was the world's.